If Afghanistan is to find a way out of the seemingly never-ending war, the next few weeks will be critically important. The Biden administration is pressing the government and the Taliban to accept a transition plan based on ceasefire and power sharing. It's a tough sell given the Taliban has intensified its military campaign in the recent months. But what led to this scenario? Who is Taliban? Is the Afghan peace process running out of road? How does this imbroglio affect India? Welcome to IAS by Heart. In this video, I will address all these questions and we will give you the important and needful insights for a UPSC aspirant regarding the Afghan crisis. So, the current situation is the Taliban has taken control of Afghanistan as of 16th August 2021. The collapse of the government in Afghanistan and the Taliban taking over the presidential palace seem to have triggered panic and fear among the people in Afghanistan, many of whom are taking flights to escape the country. President Ashraf Ghani fled the country on 15th August reportedly to Tajikistan, although this is not confirmed. Now, first things first, who are these Taliban? Taliban is a Sunni fundamentalist organization that is involved in Afghanistan politics. It is also a military group that is involved in an insurgency against the currently elected government in Afghanistan. The Taliban controlled almost 3/4 of the country from 1996 to 2001 and was notorious for their strict implementation of the Sharia or Islamic law there. The period saw widespread abuse of human rights, especially targeted against women. The promise made by the Taliban in Pashtun areas straddling the Pakistan and Afghanistan was to restore peace and security and enforce their own version of Shariat law once they are in power. The current head of the Taliban is Hibatullah Akhundzada. Mullah Omar is regarded as the founder of Taliban, who died in 2013. The Taliban officially refers to itself as the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. The Taliban were removed from power in Afghanistan by the US-led forces in 2001, but the group has been offensive in recent months and has now seized power again. What was and is India's stand? India has never recognized the Taliban while they are in power. In 1999, an Indian airline flight was hijacked and landed in Kandahar, and it was suspected that the Taliban supported these hijackers. India also supported a key anti-Taliban group, the Northern Alliance. Following the backdrop of the peace talks between the US and the Taliban in 2019, the Taliban has sought positive relations with India. To this effect, the Taliban reiterated that the Kashmir is an internal matter for India and it will not seek to interfere in the matters of other nations. Withdrawal of US forces from Afghanistan is being compared to the fall of Saigon. In 1975, Saigon, the capital of US-backed South Vietnam, fell into the communist-led North Vietnam 2 years after the withdrawal of American military, which had been in the country for almost 19 years. The US, which had waged its longest-running conflict in the history to drive the Taliban out of Afghanistan since 2001, was reduced to announcing emergency deployment in Kabul in a last-minute effort to evacuate its diplomats, citizens, and soldiers as the Taliban continued to advance. So, who is funding this Taliban? Apart from this alleged international support, the cross-border smuggling of weapons and training of militants, the Taliban is said to have been making good money independently. More than 60% of the revenue comes from the illicit opium trade. The Taliban levies taxes on each stage of the trade, charging 10% from the cultivators. They derive a lot of funds from poppy cultivation, which helps them to sustain financially by themselves. The Taliban have also indulged in mining and trade of minerals across the border. Moreover, they have levied taxes in most activities in the regions controlled by them. Extortion is another way securing funds for the organizations. Apart from that, they have on multiple occasions raided and stolen ammunition from the Afghan forces, and hence, when they come to possession of the US-made technology, advanced defense equipment, it is a huge problem. The Taliban has taken Kabul. Now what? After 2 decades and some $2 trillion spent, Washington's national building effort appears to have failed. The failure of Afghans, Americans, and European partners to protect from the Taliban is clear. But this guilt will be compounded if these countries fail to facilitate a mass evacuation of those most directly under the threat by Taliban. Pointless bureaucracy hindering the process of refuge and other special visas must be eliminated, and caps on the number of asylum seekers from Afghanistan must be lifted. The international community must state unequivocally to the Taliban that atrocities against women and girls must be met with harsh sanctions. Regional actors that have aided and abetted the Taliban over the past two decades should also face similar consequences. So, who is the big winner in this whole imbroglio? Al-Qaeda. Yes, you heard it right. The Biden administration's withdrawal from Afghanistan is the best news Al-Qaeda has had in years. With the Taliban back in charge of the country, it is virtually certain that the Al-Qaeda will re-establish a safe haven in Afghanistan and use it to plot attacks on US. The terrorist group responsible for 9/11 will soon find itself flush with cash looted from Afghanistan's central bank, with weapons seized from the defeated Afghan army, and with fighters freed from prison. So, what does this mean for the rest of the world? Is it a doomsday? While many countries, including India, are trying to find a seat at the table to discuss the Taliban issue to help out of Afghanistan, their motive is much more than just strengthening the global position. The Taliban coming out to power means mass exodus to the neighboring nations, migration crisis, cross-border terrorism, etc. Afghanistan shares its borders with Iran, Pakistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, China and India. The crisis in Afghanistan is likely to affect these countries the most. India has invested a lot in the reconstruction, and open support for the government of Afghanistan might land it in hot waters with the Taliban, which has in the past harbored terrorist activities in the past. However, there have been claims which say it is important for India to have a dialogue with the Taliban and aid peace talks between the government and military outfit, as it would benefit India's position in Asia. Even though Pakistan is alleged to have supported the Taliban, the country cannot be sure of being spread by the Taliban uprising. The border areas of Pakistan might see a rise in the inter-tribal conflicts and insecurity among the non-Pashtuns. Taliban's previous conquests have affected the people of Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan areas. While Tajikistan and Uzbekistan fear ethnic migrants into their territories, Russia, like India, has to worry about its strategic alliances in the Asian region. The Taliban are supposedly sympathetic to Uyghur Muslims, in turn posing a threat to China. So, in the end, an independent, sovereign, democratic, pluralistic and inclusive Afghanistan is crucial for peace and stability in the region. There is a need for the global community to fight against the global concern of terrorism. In this context, it is high time to adopt Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism, which was proposed by India in 1996 at the UN. Achieving lasting peace in Afghanistan will require patience and compromise among all parties. Thank you.